president, and you can cheer on that there's a felony. Okay, it's not the worst thing that a president has done in our time, and it's really nothing more
Brad, you and I have had this discussion a million times. And one thing I will say, I do have respect for you and your opinions, even though I don't agree with them. The same question I asked Jules. Do you consider him a felon? Yes or no?
Yes, he's a felon.
See, this is why I can talk to Brad Jules. Because he owns it. He knows it. It's a bullshit felony, bro. He got no jail time. He didn't even get probation.
Okay.
You and I would be going to jail. But he did a fucking felony, bro. That's it.
If it said to me, is it a bullshit felon? I'll say yes. You said it's
no, but but he's asking, was he convicted of that bullshit felony charge? And you're kind of struggling, not kind of, you are struggling just to admit that he was found guilty. Why is that?
Because there was a jury that was prearranged to convict him.
Okay, if that's true, why not? If that's true, why not just say that?
Haitian, I got you. You can speak. Don't even mute up. Let me just say this. Bro, there were like 2 or 3 lawyers on that jury. You're telling me they're going to risk their careers to put Donald Trump in prison? Come on, bro. Hey.
Oh, you take the thing. Hold it, Jay.
Wait.
No, let me finish. Let me answer. I'll answer it.
JP, wait, hold on. JB can't cut me off. Listen, bro, it's very direct what they're saying. Okay, they're saying that in spite of the fact that it may have been some ulterior motives, right? It doesn't take away from the reality. Okay, this is the reality. They stamped on his document, right, that the case was found to have been guilty. Like, I mean, I'm really trying to understand, why are you struggling with this? They're like, I want to ask you what a man is, at this point, because it's very humorous, right? Like, why not? What is it in you? What is it that's keeping you from? This gentleman, sincere question. What is it that's keeping you from just saying, fuck it, they got one?
I'll answer. First, I'll answer JB's laughable question about lawyers. Do you know how many lawyers were involved in trying to get Trump? Do you know how many lawyers, how many Justice Department lawyers, how many FBI lawyers, how many of these fucking phony lawyers which went out to get Trump on it? Wasn't Letitia James campaigned that she's going to put Trump behind bars when she committed crimes herself? That's number one. Let me answer Asian, because this was bullshit. This was bullshit. They didn't get one. They could get one against you tomorrow. Asian, okay?
They got one.
What is wrong with you? It's not hard. You were a good job application in a bunch of American states. A motherfucker would have to click the felon box.
Exactly.
Again, this is the problem. Trump sycophants.
Yeah, that's it.
When he fucked up.
Trump sycophants.
Marshall, let me jump in. Let me answer Marshall. You don't gotta answer Marshall. Let me go see. That's right, because I think you're a serial killer. So let me say this. I have 2 lifelong Republicans on my stage right now, right? I have Brad, I have Marshall. Both of them have critical thinking and common sense, right? And listen, Brad's a Republican.
And a former 25-year Republican now.
And another Republican right there. We're all saying, hey man, it might be forgiving, but it's still a felony conviction. Like Marshall said, he has to check that box. But you listen, you stand on your square. Vote for Trump. Let me finish. Vote for Trump in 2028 because he's going to run again. He's going to pull some fugazi shit when the limits get changed. I don't know how he's going to do it. He's going to do it. So you got 30 seconds, then we're going to go pop.
All right, good. I'll wind up saying that whatever you guys were all saying, the whole fucking country knew, and that's why Donald Trump is president again.
It's not about what the country knew. It's about what a judge declared.
Right. Welcome to the court. I agree with you. what the judge, I agree with you.
Trump is not God, bro. Trump is not God. Like, y'all,
I agree with you. I agree with you, Marshall. That's what that's what the Trump haters like you. If you sat on the fucking jury, you do it too. You would do the same fucking thing, Marshall.
Lawyer in all of this. Look at this. People wanted to get this hard. This fucking Giuliani, because he lied to the fucking president to a judge's face. He lied to him so bad he lost his lawyer. The only lawyer in all that fucking regular world to lose their law license was Rudy Giuliani because he lied and he did something wrong on the president's behalf and he knew it was wrong when he did it. The problem I have to this is that you are unwilling to tell the truth. You don't like the truth. You don't have to think the truth is legitimate, but it's true. Let's be good. Look up those things in government records. If I were tomorrow to submit a lawyer to the New York court system for these records, I would get one government document submitted to them. Marshall, you don't agree with this. Does not make it not so. Makes it what it is. If I deny all of the integrity that you could have in these debates, let me jump in here, Marshall. To admit the most basic truth. Let me jump in here before we bring it back up. I gotta leave at 11. I have a business call. I'll leave the room to the mods. But I'll say this. Somebody texted me offline just now and said, man, we haven't spoken about is ICE the start of America's downfall in 15, now it's 20 minutes. And my response was automatic. That's MAGA deflection. They don't want to talk about anything other than MAGA and Donald Trump being put on Mount Rushmore. Right? That's just a deflection that they use. I mean, I had this room for 2 hours ago. We were having a great conversation about ICE. And then Jules wants to come up and let's deflect this. We don't want to talk about ICE and the fucked up things they do. Let's talk about Donald Trump. And then when he gets pushed back, he's like, oh, wait a second. Don't you guys see what I see? He's the greatest thing since fucking sliced bread. It's amazing to me how MAGA has built that Kool-Aid. Anyway, we're going to go popcorn style, guys. Put me in line. Hold on, Jules. I'm going to move you down or I'm going to kick you out. You got to let others speak. You really centered this conversation around you for the last hour about Donald Trump. I don't give a fuck. I think Donald Trump has done some good things for our country. I think he's doing some fucked up things for our country.
Donald Trump.
No, what I said. Okay, shut up. Respectfully, man.
My God.
Because if I don't get fucking Cool C and he's gonna fucking kill somebody, I think this is a serial killer. Cool C, go ahead.
Yeah, by the way, I'm the one that I'm the one that just moved him down.
Okay. Yes, he was convicted. Yes. He's not going to check that box. Okay, I moved him down because I clearly just said, let's get back to the subject. And this moron wants to, another MAGA, wants to stay on the fucking Donald Trump train. It's fucking amazing to me. Read the title of the room, you morons. Read it. What does it say? Let me read it for you. Hold on. It says, is ICE the start of America's downfall? I didn't put, is Donald Trump the start of America's downfall?
I mean, in some way, it is true though that it is an indication of America's downfall, like just mismanagement, right? Poor management of a challenge, right? I don't think America's going to be around past 2,000 years from now. We'll be all on the other side, so I won't, be able to say, hey, I told you so. But even when we look at it compared to the Roman Empire, America's a really, I would say it's a dynasty at this point, right?
Nation. Republics are not built for long. 20 minutes ago, you told me I would follow.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, hold on. See, I moved him down. Hold on, Nation. I moved him down because he's mentally unstable. He has no mind control. And when I tell you the guy's a fucking serial killer, people won't believe me. Sharon Houston, I sent you an invite to come up. If you want to come speak, you're more than welcome. But yeah, the guy has no fucking mind control. And you know what really bothers me the most? Hold on, Cam, I got you. Is Vera, are you there, Vera?
Alright, yes, I can.
You know what bothers me the most? When men get on stage and they cry. You skipped me. You told me 25 minutes ago I can go next.
Could never be my turn.
It's so fucking crazy to me. raise your balls, gentlemen, and have a real conversation. But with that said, I want to go to Sharon Houston. Hi, Sharon Houston. How you doing? Sharon? All right. Cam, the mic is yours, Cam.
Wait, okay, sorry, I think the mic wasn't on.
Now it is. We can hear you.
Okay, fantastic. You guys, I live here in LA and I had my first encounter with an ICE agent. This is what I think the problem is. I don't think it's ICE isn't the start of America's downfall. I think financial inequity is the downfall because it is very clear that these guys are just doing it for the money. And you know, life is it's really hard to work right now. AI is taking away jobs. Cost of living does not rise with the cost of what you get paid for a living, and people are just chasing dollars and not thinking about human beings. That's what I think. I mean, I'm right here in the thick of it. I go down to the detention center every single night. I was able to shoot some buses. Geo Group is also transporting immigrants. They're not just running the concentration camps. It's a lot of people are making a shit ton of money off of this. It's literally about money.
Concentration camps, they don't look like Dachau or Auschwitz or Soviet
Bro,
Treblinka.
all right. Well, then I guess I can't talk in this room then because that's an absolute falsehood.
Of course you can talk, but the bringing up the analogy of concentration camps is meant to evoke Auschwitz, Birkenau, or Treblinka, and they're just not the same.
Yes, they are. They're going to be working
Have
for
you ever looked at a picture of Auschwitz?
Yeah,
Oh my God, are you?
I don't think they're putting people in ovens. Like, I think it's kind of
They bought, hold please, they bought incinerators. They bought incinerators.
Sharon.
Incinerators were purchased.
Sharon. Hold on, I need to talk here. So I'm just going to say this to you respectfully, Miss Houston, because I've never spoken to you before. I just got to meet you up also because you get a lot of feedback. I'm Jewish, right? So when somebody compares these camps, and I think they're insidious, Alligator, Alcatraz, whatever the fuck they're calling, when you compare it to concentration camps, maybe you don't care, but I have to tell you, it's highly disrespectful what you're doing when you say that, when you compare them. Now, are these camps insidious? Yes. Are they horrible? Yes. Nobody's going to debate that. But when you compare them to where 13 million Jews were incinerated, and let me tell you something, if you're going to say that they're bringing incinerators, in the link in the chat, I'd love to read that. But before we continue, guys, I have to get out of here in 5 minutes because I have a business call to do. I want to welcome Haroon to the stage because Haroon is just one of the coolest people I know. Haroon, what's good?
You're
Haroon,
good.
are you there?
I'm here. I was on the other side of the room and had my phone on the table. I'm good. How you doing? Sounds like I'm coming into some spirited conversation. And so, yeah.
What do you think?
Started a downfall. Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I think the start of the downfall of America happened a long time before ICE. My honest opinion, I think that, from my understanding, and if I'm incorrect, someone can correct me. I believe with this new big beautiful bill of funding for immigration, and ICE is exceeding the budget for the Marine Corps for our real true sovereign defense of our nation, our military. It outspends our defense budget for one component of our national defense. I think for me, that is outrageous. That is not a appropriate source or appropriate way to allocate resources. Do we need to, control the borders? Absolutely. Do we need to deport, violent criminals who prey on innocent people? No doubt about it. Do we need to deport someone who's been here for 40 years or 50 years, paying taxes, raising children, raising their family, and just, scoop them up off the street by, I'm going to call them Gestapo tactics? I don't think so. That's not necessary. Do we need to have, the military roaming through the streets of a playground where kids are playing. I think that's a bit too far, in my humble opinion. So there you go. That's my opinion.
And your opinion matters to me, and I appreciate you. But I want to shout out one person specifically that's in my VIP section. If you guys don't know C.O. Brown, definitely follow this dude. He's a good dude. And we have some spirited conversations offline. He's the one that put this thought in my head about ICE. And this is why I opened the room in his honor. So, C.O., if you can come up and talk, I'd appreciate it, man. I have nothing but love and respect for you. I got to get going in like a minute. So, other mods, if you want to bring this idiot Cool C back up, unknown 5112, be my guest. He's not going to shut up. If he brings up Donald Trump, please kick him from the room. Steve, you going to run it? Marshall, Vero?
Yeah.
Yep, I'm good.
I'll be back after my business calls. Haroon, for you guys that don't know Haroon, man, really a solid dude, man. Get to know Haroon, man. Real respectful guy.
Make lots of money, Jake.
That's the plan, bro.
I'm here. I'm not bringing him up.
That's going to take a directive from higher authority.
No worries.
Can I play the clip of the midterms are a long way away. I don't know.
You want to play the clip? Go ahead, Nelson.
Yeah, this is Greg Abbott.
Oh, we're gonna do lunch.
You ask, I'm going to use your words. Who's to blame? Know this. That's the word choice of losers. Let me explain one thing about Texas. And that is, Texas, every square inch of our state cares about football. You could be in Hunt, Texas, Huntsville, Texas, Houston, Texas, any size community, they care about football. High school, Friday Night Lights, college football, or pro. And know this, every football team makes mistakes. The losing teams are the ones that try to point out who's to blame. The championship teams are the ones that say, don't worry about it, man, we got this. We're going to make sure that we go score again, that we're going to win this game. The way winners talk is not to point fingers. They talk about solutions. What Texas is all about is solutions. In fact, I want to read you something that I received last night. That's worth emphasizing. To put this in context. Tragedy has come. That part is done.
And 191 are missing and counting. And he's talking about, Friday Night Lights, football, because every Texan cares about football.
I feel like that's how they actually think about it, though. Like you have to have that kind of mentality to not think, if there's something, if you can reduce the scale of a tragedy or if you can a tragedy, that would be the priority for most people. To be in a position, keep
Your head. That is helpful for good governance.
I disagree. Yeah, I don't know, like you said, if you look at thousands of years of history, the downfall of countries came at the expense or started to come
Just create one stupid title and everybody's like, the title! Talk about the title!
Put their citizens' quality of life in the back of their head. That's when the downfall.
And that is certainly one of the things that historically has taken down kingdoms and empires. Wealth inequality, inability to move up the social ladder, the inability to get food or water, the inability to find safety. Those are all things that in thousands of years of history denote unstable civilizations, whether they're kingdoms or empires.
I don't think like all of those things are happening in the United States right now. Clearly, it's not. I mean, the ability.
Right. My point was that you were highlighting one of the key contributing factors toward decline of countries. There's a historian, he's a Greek dude, his name was Polybius. He said that there was a guarantee that all countries collapse, but you could never pick when and where, only that.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard it before, but I mean, him saying that and all of these, it's like that is supposed to like be like the guiding like factor or whatever, like that. But at the same time, history has shown us that more and more governments have put the quality of life, the quality of life for their citizens at the bottom end of importance. That's when the downfall is starting to happen. And right now, the United States are putting the quality of life of, regardless of who we think those citizens are. I think those citizens are people who were born in the United States and that are here legally. But when we go from trying to make sure that they're okay to taking away their Medicaid and Medicare and Social Security and stuff like that, like that's what the downfall of our country looks like. And that's what's happening. Like they're literally taking away hundreds of millions of people's ability to get.
I mean, I've read the bill. It does not throw off 100 million people.
It does. It literally does. Like the
country's entire population is about 360 million people. In order to throw 100 million people off Medicaid, you would have to throw most of the people in Medicaid off Medicaid. And that's not what the bill said. I agree with you. It does take away services. Part of the reason for that is because the largest line item in the federal budget is a combination of 3 separate programs: Social Security, disability insurance, and Medicare. That takes about $2.5 or $2.75 trillion out of the U.S. budget every single year. And something particularly important about Social Security. Social Security has been borrowed from by Republican and Democratic majority Congresses from the early 2000s to now. They took a grand total of about $4 trillion out of the trust fund. Now, they say that the trust fund really is just a line in government ledger. Point being, by 2034, it will no longer be a one-to-one payee system. It will be a one-to-two payee system. So instead of me supporting my mom and my brother supporting my dad for Social Security, it'll be me and my brother support my mom and the 2 kids next door support my dad. Because Social Security will, because of the intergovernmental borrowing, go bankrupt. So you have to lift that up. The second largest expense in the federal budget is interest on our debt. And one of the big problems with the best crap sandwich we were going to get in the big beautiful bill is that it raises both deficits and debt to unhealthy levels. My point in saying all of this is that, and I'll send you the bill if you don't have it, but it doesn't throw 100 million people off. It throws people off, just not 100 million of them.
Shit, my phone was. Hold on, wait. Do you know the number? Shit.
Well, Marshall, what I read as far as Medicaid is that it may kick as many as 11 million people off of Medicaid, but that's only because there is a new requirement in the bill that they have to prove up at least 20 hours a week of either studying or attempting to get a job or vocational retraining. As long as they're able to prove up the 20 hours, at least what the experts say, they're not going to be kicked off. But I heard the number is 10 or 11 million, not hundreds of millions. I don't even think there are hundreds of millions of people on Med.
There are.
You gotta stop watching MSNBC, man.
Okay, that's the number for Medicare. I have to believe that's the.
There's no 100 million on Medicare. There's no 100 million, hundreds of millions on Medicaid. None of that is occurring. What you stated is exactly false.
Are you done? Are you done?
Apparently you are, because you've just said face.
Are you done?
Brad's a person who works in that space. So when he
That's
tells
right.
So when he tells me that
If I can't.
he's being honest.
Okay, well, tell you what, sir, since apparently, at least you're giving the impression that you know and we don't, how many people are on Medicaid? Give us the number.
Listen.
No, I'd like, before you continue, I'd like, sir, before you say anything else, because you said our numbers are wrong, give us the number.
I never said your number.
Okay, please continue then.
The number I was asking for was something totally different, my guy. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, stop trying to cheat. Stop trying
Okay,
to.
well, obviously I didn't hear you. What were you asking?
Again, so what are the numbers for you gave me the numbers for the people that are on Medicare. Now, what about Social Security?
I think the people on Social Security are about 50 million. I'm just going by memory, about 50 million.
No, what about the people that's coming off of Social Security?
You mean that are going to be kicked off of Social Security?
Why are we becoming crowdsourced to Google? What's going on here? Like, we don't need to be doing research.
Oh, it's a legitimate question. My answer is I don't know. Do you?
About 7.5 million.
7.5 million out of 50 million. Okay.
Then 50 million, so we're kicking off with good.
No, it's 7.5 million estimated, just depending. I think in 2023, I'd have to look it up. It's about, I'll just give it a round number, 8 to 10 million people are collecting Social Security. So even those numbers are way off.
So the 50 million number is way off?
Yes, all of your numbers have been way off. Like, I don't think you understand this. I don't think you understand how either of them work.
I've only ever said one number, so all of my numbers are off. My one number was off.
Brad, I just checked Google for whatever it's worth. I said 50. Google says 73. I thought it was closer to 50 on Social Security.
I'm sorry, I thought you were asking for SSI. I apologize.
We have to realize, Cam, that the greatness of this country is not built on SNAP, Medicare, Medicaid. You know what I mean? I don't understand what you're trying to say. I'm getting really confused. Those programs are not ending. They may get more rules and regulations, might get reduced a little bit, but they're not being eradicated, right?
I just think when we start taking away some of the quality of life benefits for our citizens, that's what's going to end up being the hindrance, because a country is only as good as its citizens, and if everybody in your country wants to leave, then you don't even have a government. You don't have a country, because your government is ruling or governing no one.
And sir, that's a reasonable take. I disagree with it, but it's a reasonable take. As soon as you start taking benefits away from your citizens, you're lowering the quality of life. I can appreciate that. I respectfully disagree with it, but at least that take is reason.
So there's a couple of problems here. First, this problem has been existing since the 70s. About Social Security. This has been an ongoing problem. The reason you're having your feelings tugged at you right now is because there's a guy in office who's not going to face a third term. And there are some Republicans that are just like, we've wanted this for decades. Decades, I'm telling you. They have wanted to basically overhaul the way the Social Security funds are working. There have been Democrats that wanted to do this. This used to be a bipartisan effort. There used to be pro and Social Security and benefits groups, and they weren't delineated on ideological lines. They were delineated on fiscal accountability because there were conservative Democrats back then who realized that this was a problem. Every president, every administration, and every Speaker of the House has pretty much kicked the can down the road, despite promising to fix it on every platform. Now there's a guy in office who's saying, let's gut it, let's fix it, let's get this thing back on track. And is this the right way? We'll have to see. There's a lot of nuanced debate about it. But right now, doing nothing is not there. And let's be honest, there is a shit ton of waste, fraud, and abuse through all of these programs. There is no lackadaisical approach. There is no taking it down. There is like 30 to 40% waste, fraud, and abuse where people can be contributing members. We decried that people that are 50 years and older don't need to be part of society. They should just retire, go on cruises and golf until they have a heart attack and die in their fucking toilet. That was a society thing. This administration is saying, no, I think you can contribute. You can volunteer. You can have a job. You can go and get education. You can seek all these different pathways. And all we're asking for is, what, 40 hours a month? So now you're crying that able-bodied people can do a variety of things and contribute to the society and the very fabric of America by contributing to their communities. You're now saying that's too much. That's too far. No, we should be arguing that. There is a lot of seniors out there. There is a lot of people that are 50 years and older that have a wealth of knowledge to teach you and to show you. And the fact that you just think you're going to get your information off of TikTok and, think you're cool or use whatever fucking AI tool of the week is, I'm gonna tell you something. There's a big difference between knowledge and wisdom. And right now, you're showing neither. Like, these people need to be contributing to society. They need to be helping us. They need to be guiding us so we don't repeat the history mistakes that have been done in the past. And if you don't want to learn from them, fine. Then sit down and shut up. Somebody else will.
Brad, small correction. It's 80 hours a month, 20 hours a week.
I mean, we Americans, man, we are builders and makers and innovators. Like, we just have to get back to it. That's what, made America what it is. We want to work. I mean, if you're a real American, I don't understand. Like, I want to work and build stuff and get stuff done. I'm not, isn't that the goal, to have better jobs, better, good paying jobs, having the ability to start your own business? Isn't that the American dream? The American dream is not being on a social safety net. That should not be the goal. I understand that some people fall onto it. It should be there for those, but we should be motivated each other to achieve not low hanging fruit.
That American dream has kind of been put aside right now. America is a country of consumption. It used to be production. Now it's consumption. We consume it online. We take our jobs. We ship them parts of it outside of the country, and then we take those and we buy them back.
No.
And then we do something
We have a very transparent and clear policy on that,
thinking out of the
which
box,
differ
but it's
from
not
the
necessarily
majority
in
of the strategy,
favor
probably your
of the
strategy
country.
as well. You have a war strategy.
After you get
We
2
have
or
a
3
peace strategy.
generations into
We
that
would like to do
mindset,
everything in
it's
order
already
to have
off
peace.
track.
Therefore, we keep
Derek,
open
that's
all
your
the communication line to the Russians. Otherwise,
type of job category that you're in, but the type of business that I'm in, I'm seeing that there are a lot of shakers and makers in this country. They're building construction workers, people own these massive companies that really get stuff done. They get overlooked. They're not being represented as they should, right? And we talking about blue collar and blue collar business, it's small business. And right now, I think that the president is putting more focus on those type of things, because we just can't take our way out of these problems. We have to actually put hands on the ground, actually build up our nation, upgrade our infrastructure, right?
I absolutely agree with that, Nathan, but if that's what it takes, you're absolutely right. But is it actually for or from or out of the country? Is a MAGA hat still made in China? I understand the formation of work, of jobs, I'm not, right now I'm kind of really fucked up because of the great conversation that's going on. I can't really
eloquently present
Well,
with kids.
let me help you out with this. I think it's called evaluating jobs, right? And I think that's what's happening being talked about. And I think it's a fight between white collar, blue collar. That's always been going on, right? Who should we value? Should we value that white collar job, that secretary who gets paid six figures, or should we value that construction worker, give him six figures to actually, and I think that's the real conversation was happening.
Yeah, but isn't it both? Because
They're fighting over who job is more valuable than what.
Nathan, they're both valuable.
Last time that you were able to take a blue collar job and actually generate wealth and have it to be able to pass down was like, I think economists are saying like around 1974, 75. That was the last time where you were able to walk out of high school, go down to, I'm going to pick an old place, Bethlehem Steel, and work the steel factory and be able to go buy a house in your early 20s, sit down and have money, have the savings, be able to do that. And the economy was stable in that time frame. There was a lot of fuck ups, and it led us to other pathways that had ramifications 20 years later. But basically, that was the last time frame when a blue collar worker was revered. Like you went down there, you walked in, the foreman shook your hand and said, "All right, we'll give you a chance, kid. Here's a broom, sweep up." And you stayed there. You had unions that petitioned and fought for safety measures and things along those lines, with a lot of corruption as well. But they still did some good things, and you lost that somewhere along the way because you pushed for an admin office job. You didn't want to do that. And to be fair, I mean, yeah, it sounds good if you can make six figures working as a phone rep at AT&T. I doubt you're going to make that, but it sounds a lot more fun, but it's a boring job. And we told people that build houses, carpenters, electricians, that you weren't needed. And in fact, we pulled journeyman apprenticeships out of high schools and other programs. There used to be BOCES. All of these things used to exist, and now they're gone. And we're sitting here going, I don't like to pay the high cost of a carpenter to come redo my patio or whatever it is that you have going on, and you're complaining about housing prices. But because of the benefits, because of the white collar push, we sat there and said as a culture, that's not needed anymore. So now you have to pay $500,000 for a shittily made home that's fabricated overnight and no longer have those great constructions, those artists, because that's really what they were. You don't have them. And here's a great thing. Go look at a drywaller in 1950. There are videos of him actually showing you. There's this guy who pulls up all these old journeyman videos. Watch what he does with drywall, just alone, just a drywaller. And look at how it's done today, and you're just going to be amazed. The guy did it with an axe in his hand and basically freaking did an entire frame all by himself and didn't charge like a mortgage payment. Like, it was that simple back then, and people were able to thrive. So yeah, keep pushing for benefits, keep pushing more. The government needs to babysit you, teach you how to wipe ass, and lose your economic freedom and the ability to manifest yourself. That's how an empire falls, is your reliance on the government rather than being able to manifest your own destiny underneath that guidance.
What government fell under those?
Yeah, great point, Brad.
Can I ask you, Brad? What government fell under the conditions of needing the government? I'm just curious.
I didn't hear you, sir.
No, I'm saying, Brad, you said that the last part you said was that that's how governments fall by needing. I mean, that's how countries or whatever fall because the people need the government too much. Which country was that?
That was wrong. That was the Ottoman Empire. That literally was England.
Hold on a second. So you said Rome fell because
it was
the Roman government?
So it was one of those reasons. In the early part of the Roman Republic, this would be Caesar, Augustus, Tiberius, Caligula, Nero, and then Claudius. They had people on what was known as the grain dole. So many people in Rome relied on the grain dole that if they did not have constant shipments from Port Ostia, which was about 50 miles southeast of Rome, the city would go starving. So many people ended up relying on the grain dole program that it ended up creating a larger need for the Roman government to get involved instead of
Hey, Marshall, before you do the whole history lesson, I'm familiar with the grain dole.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it's not the primary cause of the fall of Rome. So I'm saying when people say, I've heard people mistakenly say,
I think it's one of those contributing
factors. There's no historian that could it be the contributory factor? Yes, there's multiple reasons, but nobody, historian worth their salt would say that it's the primary or one of the main causes. Is what I'm saying.
I have not read either Goldsworthy or Gibbons make that particular argument, although Gibbons does refer to the grain dole.
Yeah, they refer to it because they refer to it because they want to make a case for it in the United States right now. But historically, what I'm saying is...
I meant Gibbons' decline and fall. In his classic addressing of the Roman Empire's fall, he mentions grain doles in part of it. You are right in that if you look at like Goldsworthy or Mary Beard, who's a famous Roman historian, they don't often say reliance on government. They do, in their contributory factors, though, usually list increasing public reliance on the grain dole. But to your point, it's usually part of a larger whole.
That's all I'm saying. So yeah, I was just asking if the gentleman knows so I can get, kind of schooled up on it. Is there a government that we know historically where the reliance on government contributed or was the major contributing factor to the downfall?
You want to look at the Soviet Union as a whole too? I mean, we can take a lot.
Well, that wouldn't be a really look at it because it's a communist government and the whole communist government is predicated on using the government resources. So I'm saying you can't really say that. So I would say something that's closer to a democracy or a republic because a communist government is a completely different program, right? So a democratic government or republic government, whatever you want to call it, where the reliance on government contributed to the downfall. Just give me one.
I just did. I gave you a bunch of them. But again, we can just start with the Soviet Union. It's complete reliance on the people to be able to be fed. You had various parts of England under its colonial rule that it's a reliance to be fed. Ireland is a nice prime case in point, which led to a famine, led to a starvation. There really wasn't a famine.
Hold on, Brad. If I can build with you, but I'm saying, how would you count Russia in terms of a communist country whose entire design is based on feeding all the people? That's not America's design, right?
Because they didn't develop any economic prosperity within themselves. It was all government relied upon.
Let's put that in the common. No, I'm saying let's put that in the common.
Okay, so you question, then you interrupt me to ask another. Like again, I don't care about communism or democracy. Those words we can cast aside. You asked for a government that said, hey, when its people depended on the government for economic resources and viability, I gave you those governments. It doesn't matter if they were communist. It doesn't matter if they're democratic. It only meant that, hey, there's an economic addiction in order to survive. That was the Soviet Union. The people were starving. Like you had it under the czars. I mean, again, they were reliant on their government at that time, the Empire of Russia, to basically feed their people, to have grains. Like the grain dole was like another one where people had to be fed in the various regions of the Roman Empire because they wouldn't sustain. They were reliant on everybody else. This is in turn which brought about massive amounts of slavery because those people were like, the government should just help me, feed me, or give me people to work the land so I don't have to do it.
So yeah, what you're saying, there could be a factual basis for it, but to me it's factually kind of sort of disingenuous as an analogy to the United States dependence on government resources because the United States is a whole different setup. And so if you're talking colonialization, czar, authoritarian rule, kings, monarchies, and all of that, it's a little different when you're making the analogy. My point was that you were making an analogy to the fall of the United States and connecting it incongruently with monarchies or communist countries. So I'm saying that.
What about the transformation in the late Republic? I'm thinking particularly Tiberius and Gaius Gracchus and their land reform idea. And it seemed to me.
So basically, I'm just saying you got some
CO, rather than asking questions, and you've asked them more than once, why don't you just make your point? Just make your point.
Or
No,
I do what I
I
just did and
understand
ask
your
questions.
point. See, what I was asking was, do you think there's any comparability to late Republic Rome and Republic America? The reason I'm asking, post Zama in 212 with the Punic Wars, Rome gets the Aegean League and they get into their empire pants. And it seems to me that one of the characteristics of the late Republic and its dysfunction was empire eating up Republic in a parasitic fashion. Since you seem fairly learned about Rome, it's mine being the specific, do you think there are any comparisons to late Republic and Rome trying to deal with the fact that it's becoming an empire with America's Republic? If so, why? If not, why?
I think it's a good question, Marshall, without getting too poetic about our Roman history, bravado game, because we all took a class or two. More so, the Rome was just overextended. They're trying to colonize the whole goddamn world. They have political instability, changing of times, and a lot of different things were happening. They're trying to invade everybody, so they just had too much. They bit off more than they could chew. So if you want to make an analogy, if we're trying to bomb Beijing, defend a war in Ukraine, bomb Iran, and deal with police the whole world, and tariffs here and there, do individual taxes on every country. I think the analogy more so would be we're spread too thin and have a lot of dysfunction in each one of the government departments. And I just wanted to add this, and I'll cede it back to you guys. When you guys are talking about Constitution, to me, the Constitution is for whatever it's worth. We're having all this conversation is about which one of the dysfunctional branches of government or departments is not working good, and everybody makes it about immigrants. Immigrants don't put a lot of financial pressure on the government, right? So that's a sensational issue, I think, that kind of I don't even want to go there because it just goes down a rabbit hole. But the purpose of the Constitution is to set up a framework for government, right? As you all know. And to identify who has the powers for that framework, with the goal being the rights of the people. So I just wish all of this pro-American talk would be pro-Constitution, which is the framework for our United States. So we can argue whether it should be this much for Social Security, whether we should use this healthcare system, or so forth and so on. Those are supposed to be the beautiful parts of government. Where I think we should concentrate some conversation at least is the imbalance of powers, where the executive and the legislative branch and the people's houses should be all equally represented. A tax on those and on habeas corpus, the rights of the people. If we're talking pro-American, our government is not about, well, Joe Biden killed America or Donald Trump did it. No, our government framework is supposed to withstand whichever president, idiotic or ignorant or not, does it. Because the government of the United States is never about the president. It's supposed to be about the country. So when we're sitting here talking about, did Jimmy Carter destroy it or is it Trump that destroyed it? No, the fact that we're talking about a president that destroyed America is the problem, because the Constitution is built to withstand the ignorance of people making a bad decision so that we can recover from that decision. I'll land there, but
Do you remember what Lincoln said about bad presidents?
I do. Please remind. Please remind me, Marshall.
Marshall, did you drop out? Marshall, you do not have a black ring around your profile, so you might have dropped out.
Yeah, but I would love to hear it. So until Marshall jumps back in, I just wanted to land at the point that, no, Biden didn't destroy America. Human beings, even with the economy, everybody, well, is the government going to do this? When do we start measuring the governmental success of the executive office by what the stock market does, right? When are we measuring who we are as Americans by how many people we kick out of the country? You know what I'm saying? What about, American ingenuity contributes to the rise and fall of business. You know what I'm saying?
CO, I have a question for you.
Sure, go ahead, man.
Do you think, serious question, do you think America is the greatest country in the world, and if not, which one is?
Well, the answer to that question is America the greatest country in the world?
Or if not, which one is?
That's a real good question, Steve. I think.
Well, that's why I asked it, baby.
Well, goddamn it, go you son of a bitch. Hey, listen, I
like you.
I think America is a great country, and I know a lot of people get into the emotional side of different countries that might have different things. Until you live in another country, you really don't understand. But I think that's a very good question, man. Put it this way. America is as good at its ability to maintain the framework and stay moving towards its North Star. So that's why I think we're getting lost. Not based on cycles and presidents, but rather American people focusing on maintaining the integrity of the framework, which is making sure. So we're in an unprecedented time. If you guys want to talk monarchies and czars, where the president doesn't have any responsibility for anything he does to the country. That's never happened. I don't think George Washington or Thomas Jefferson or Lincoln would have signed off on that bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Where the Supreme Court says, do whatever the hell you want to, you're not responsible for anything. So I think there's certain things that are unprecedented in this current era that, again, for me, pro-American, is the Constitution is the basis for which we exist as a government. If we're not maintaining the Constitution, which includes amendments, right, then we're going left. The people are always going to change. So people are like, well, the level of poverty. Nah, man, there was a whole lot of poverty in England. There's a whole lot of poverty in all these European countries. There's a whole lot of poverty in Asia, a whole lot of poverty in Africa. So the poverty thing ain't really the issue, right? America promised people to get an equal day in court if something happens and there's a discrepancy. So I think the way that we're approaching America, we're starting to argue about the wrong shit. If there was any discussion of what's tanking America, it's that its people have lost their freaking way.
I would agree. One of the problems we got is we are losing our culture. I would say it's almost on its way out. But another problem we have is...
Isaac, I'm sorry, man. I want to listen to you, but your mic is garbage.
Yeah, Isaac, your mic is garbage.
I think we upset Isaac.
Well, welcome.
I mean, there wasn't anything personal. It's just
no, there's nothing personal. The modulation was garbage. Hang on, let me do a reset. We're at the bottom of the hour. JB is on a business call, hopefully making gazillions of dollars. The topic is ICE the start of America's downfall? If you got a pink ticket, cash it in. We're popcorn style, and per JB, one mic policy.
So I think CEO brought up.
Yeah, you just said exactly what makes you an anti-Semite. The interests of the Jews. That's what makes your position anti-Semitic, right? Because whatever Jews are in positions of power or influence or things like that, nobody's doing that for the interests of the Jews, you moron.
No, you're insinuating that my criticism of something is because I think it's an...
You cannot criticize the Jews as one group, Diego. You cannot criticize the Jews as one people. I was born a Jew, all right? That's it.
No.
How the fuck can you criticize me? Based on what except your retardedness and your, ignorance? The fact that you say I would criticize the Jews, it kind of shows that you're a fucking idiot.
Okay,
so I ask you, don't be an idiot.
Actually, Caleb has got a good point. I mean, you are pro-individuals, right? So why, if you are able to understand economics and philosophy and whatever through the lens of individualism, do you insist to just put a whole group of people, however millions of them they are in the world, under the exact same umbrella?
Okay, agreed.
You wouldn't like, as a Catholic, be put under the same umbrella that some priests are pedophiles, right? And you wouldn't want to say for people to assume that all of us who are are Catholic are pedophiles. Not because why? Because that would be very stupid.
Okay, so then Daniel is not a Jew. He's just an Israeli.
No, I'm a Jew. Listen, Diego, it's like me saying, I want to criticize the Diegos of the world, okay? It's as stupid as this, okay? You are born a Diego. It doesn't mean that all Diegos are as idiots as you. You do it, you understand. Me and Caleb were born different places, we're different people, and all Jews are different. So what the fuck is wrong with you?
Diego, I think you should start advocating.
So when people were protesting the Vietnam War, did they hate the Vietnamese? Was that because they hated the Vietnamese?
What do you mean?
A little bit.
Can you elaborate?
So the people that were anti-war, that were protesting against the war, that they wanted it to stop, did they hate one side of Vietnam?
What's the connection to the topic right now? I'm not sure.
The grouping of people, I guess, but I don't understand.
Well, right, but that's what I'm saying.
No, listen, you can group of people based on if people have the same education or coming from the same place, yes, you can group them together in a way. But people that are Jews, or like black people that are everywhere, each one has their own education or their own upbringing. You cannot bring them together. I can say something about Israelis, okay? For example, because we have something is similar. We have education system, yada, yada, yada.
Honey, you're very loud right now.
Yeah.
Diego, do you advocate for DEI against Jewish control?
Oh, the point I was getting at was basically there are people, there's plenty of people that are protesting what's going on in Gaza because they hate the Jews. And there's a lot of people that are protesting because they don't like what's going on, period.
Well, if they really didn't like what's going on, if you have like empathy only for one group of people and zero empathy for the other group, then it's not really about empathy. Because if you are calling, I will explain. Because they are not saying peace. Or they're not saying like the only thing that will actually end the war, which is like release the fucking hostages, right? They're not going to say Hamas surrender. They're saying no. They want Israel to basically stop the fire, give up the hostages, and let Hamas do this again and again and again. So tell me, how is this peaceful or humane or empathetic or any of this?
Hamas to do it again and again and again would fall under the first category of people that I mentioned. That wanted to.
No, but the people that are calling for a ceasefire, like try to use your brain. Like, what does it actually mean, the ceasefire?
But what he's saying
means
is
that
Hey, Lou. The people that are campaigning against the quote-unquote genocide in Gaza are ill and many times mal-informed about what is going on in Gaza.
Okay.
Like, you're concerned about the people that have joined in with the anti-Semites that want the Jews destroyed, and they just like agree with their propaganda. Hey, well, if so many people agree with them, I guess propaganda is a path to truth. Like, that's your questioning to us, Lou. Why don't you go fucking investigate what is actually going on there and tell me whether or not it's a systematic destruction of the Gazans?
The point I'm making is that, do you not hear me speaking, dude? The point I'm making is that those people may they be ignorant or what, it doesn't matter. Then they're not anti-Semitic if that's the framework that they're up.
Yeah, they're just useful idiots for anti-Semitic.
Fair enough. Yeah, and I think what's happened is a lot of people have experienced being called anti-Semitic for that position, whether or not they're ignorant. Doesn't matter.
Because the operators are anti-Semitic and they are useful idiots for the anti-Semitic. If you are going and you are chanting like Nazi slogans without knowing that you are saying Nazi slogans because the person that is operating you or that is giving you all this information is a Nazi, then yes, you are useful idiots for Nazis. At the end, you are spewing anti-Semitic bullshit.
Don't hate Jews that have been called Jew haters, and this is why I think it leads to people where, like Diego,
anti-Semitism is not
regardless.
No, anti-Semitism is not hating Jews. Anti-Semitism is not hating Jews. It's a many things. One of the things, for example, is setting a different standard for Israel or for Jews than you give any other person in existence. And when you spread lies about them. So it's not about I hate Jews. Many of them say, oh, I love Jews. idiots and they are being operated, they are being manipulated, and they are not smart enough to call it out.
Can I ask a question?
And I guess
Anti-Semitism, I agree with you, is not about hating Jews. Like anybody can hate Jews, but it's when you actually treat Jews differently just because they are Jews. That is anti-Semitic. You apply different standards.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead. I'm done.
No, it's not a question actually from the executive. You mentioned Gaza, and this is a genuine question because, the debate, related, similar, kind of territory struggle with India and Pakistan. The debate from India is Muslims get treated really well in India, yet they somehow stupidly support Pakistan in these fights. My friends have told me, and I don't know if this is true, but they said, Arabic or Palestinian people are actually given great benefits in Israel and actually are treated well overall as citizens, and yet they still want to shit on or piss on the country that is giving them all this stuff just because they want their their rate. Is this accurate or am I misunderstood?
It's not exactly.
Okay, so are they treated as second-class citizens or they're treated as like?
In Israel, all citizens of Israel have equal rights.
Right, so there's not like discrimination against them.
There's no apartheid.
Wait a second. It's a complex society, right? All Israeli citizens have equal rights, and it's a society that still has racism, right? Like America, everyone has equal rights, and there's still racism.
But are Palestinian citizens of Israel? Yeah, no Palestinians, Arabs. Arabs, Israelis. Palestinians are national identity. They are in the West Bank in Gaza. They are not Israeli citizens, so they don't have the same rights as Israeli because they are not Israeli.
But hold on, I think one of the
Palestinian identity is an objection to the claim of any Israeli citizenship.
That's the thing, King. So Palestinian, think of Palestinian almost as a different nationality. So if you're Palestinian, you're not Israeli. Now there are a lot of Muslim Arabs in Israel, and those Muslim Arabs, Arab Muslims, they have access to exactly the same education. They can run for office. They have the passport.
For any position.
And everything that
they could be prime minister. They could be president. They could be supreme judges. They could be
anything. Hold on, just the last thing. If anything, they have got additional privileges. Like for example, all Israeli Jews are forced or mandated to join the IDF. They have to do mandatory military service. Now, the Muslims, Arabs, they don't have to unless they want to. It's voluntary for them. Because Israel is very mindful that this goes, let's say, against an ideology that they might hold, and that would go against their own principles. So they don't force them to join the IDF.
That's why what I encountered in the summer of 2004 all the way.
And they could go to the Temple Mount, which Jews are not allowed to.
And I bring this question up only because I understand that Palestinians are kind of separate, but the problem I find is that there's a group of Arabs that it sounds like in Israel that are very supportive of Israel as a country, just like Muslims in India are. But there's also a whole bunch of them that enjoy the benefit. It's reap the benefits. There's like.
Yes, you're right. Some of those people are even in our parliament that are basically, even though they're in the Israeli parliament, they're advocating for the Palestinians, like Ayman Uda and like others. Like there are Arabs in Arab parties in the Israeli parliament that are basically very much anti-Zionist, but this is democracy. You will not find this.
There are Jewish parties that are anti-Zionist.
Yeah, but we're not talking about that right now. We're talking about the Arabs and the Palestinians and if they are against Israel or not. And what I'm saying is that they can be elected with an Arab party to the Israeli parliament and yet be against Israel.
Yeah, but I agree with you. But not everybody who gets elected has to be a patriot, right?
True. Right. No, it's not about being a patriot. It's about No, it's not about being a patriot. It's about being a parliament member, an Israeli parliament member, and saying after 7th of October, Gaza won and Gaza will win again. That is not being a patriot. That is being a traitor. But yet, you are allowed to do this because it's a democracy. And those religious people, I don't know any religious, like Jewish religious, that is in the parliament that is advocating against Israel. Yes, they are not Zionists, but they are not like advocating for the destruction of Israel or for like the creation of Palestinian state instead of it.
Well, that's true, but there's still, that's true.
And then, Naveen, are you back?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, and then you have the Palestinians, for example, that are in the West Bank. And the West Bank is a complex area because it's a place that has, well, zone A, B, C. One zone is it's zones and they're not like clearly divided. They're all mixed with each other, right? And so I don't know if you can explain, Daniel, what is zone A, zone B, zone C, but one zone, the zones of one are controlled by Israelis, the other zones are controlled by the Palestinian Authority, and the other zones, I don't know what it is, but yeah, the Palestinians there, even if they're mixed with the Israelis, they don't just get to have an Israeli passport or be called Israelis, right? So they're not the responsibility of Israel. They actually, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the Palestinians have actually a Jordanian passport, is it? Or something like that? Jordan is correcting them?
No,
but how is the West Bank? Can you explain? Oh, he left, but can you re-explain so I can...
Zone A is controlled by the Palestinian Authority. No Jew or Israeli is allowed there, mostly because of security reasons, because they will be slaughtered. Zone B is administered like civil by the Palestinian autonomy or authority, whatever you want to call them, and it's controlled militarily or like defense-wise by Israel. And Zone C is both civil governance and security governance by Israel. So it's like B is the one that is like half-half, A is fully Palestinian, C is fully Israeli. And it's all like basically it's everything. You can basically kind of mark the entire area with C, and then do like islands inside of it that are B, and inside of that there are islands that are C. So it's kind of like very complex, and this is why you have a lot of checkpoints, because in order for you to go from one zone A to another zone A, you need to go via zone B or via zone C. And this is why they have to go through checkpoints. And this is what you hear a lot about, those checkpoints.
So the B is Palestinian government, but Israeli military.
Israeli security.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
It's very hard for the West to understand anti-Semitism because it's so baked in.
It's a very specific definition legally, but it's being used haphazardly.
No, not even legally, right? It's so old, and it's so baked into like the culture of the West and the history of the West that like these useful idiots, they don't even understand when they're using historic anti-Semitic language. They don't even understand. Like,
yes, so they think they're innovating.
Yeah, exactly. They think they've like finally found the light of things. They just don't.
It's like, oh my God, does anyone realize that these people killed God?
Like that's the same thing over and over again. Like for example, calling us now bloodthirsty.
Right.
It's the same trope of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always like, and right now with the genocide claim, it's always the same story over. Jews control the world, Jews control the media. It is all this time. It's just amazing that in the information age, people are way more misinformed than before information age.
Yeah, you have to own it, Daniel. You just have to tell them, yes, we are better. What's the issue?
You know what? To be honest, the more I'm in this topic, and in the last 2 years that I've been in Clubhouse, I can honestly say, yes, we are better. We are honest. We take accountability when we are wrong. We take responsibility. We can disagree and have debates. We are not a monolith. Yes, so I guess we are better. And I guess it belongs there.
I proved it
But I think that's a little bit the core of the issue, Daniel. I think of course there are jokes. I joke quite a lot, but I think.
I mean, how are they not proving their inferiority to the Jews with their believing in these crazy, ridiculous propaganda? Only one of them could research.
But I think
I never thought about that we are better. I never thought that we are better than others until the last. One second. I never thought that Jews are better than anyone. I thought it was like a stupid thing. And in the last 2 years, what I see in the world, that basically it's us against the world. And yes, we are on the right side. We are on the humane side. We are on the moral side. We are on the just side. And we are on the legal side. So I guess, yes, we are better than them. And the people that are anti-Zionist are dumb. And the people that are pro-Palestine or free Palestine are immoral. What can I say?
Like simple, basic measures of intelligence. They're fucking idiots. The opposition to the Jews are morons. Like, we don't want to be superior, but they are making themselves inferior to us.
Thank God. But thank God that our enemies are so stupid. Imagine if our enemies would be smart.
Yeah.
We would be fucked.
If they were smart, they wouldn't be our fucking enemies.
Do you know what is comparable to like the black people when they say that there is white supremacy? And it's like, yeah, well, they are accepting an inferior position to the white people when they claim that there is white supremacy. It's exactly the same thing.
But they use historical basis for that argument. Is that they used to be slaves, so it's not that weird that they dare.
Oh yeah,
Jews were also slaves.
Everywhere around the world. It was not just the black thing, and there were also a lot of black, and there were also a lot
Jews
of
were
black,
also slaves,
and there were also a lot of black people that owned slaves. So it was not.
Of course, yes, I agree there as well, Lisa. But I'm saying that they are wrong. Of course,
well,
they are
I don't
wrong.
care. But in this day and age, I mean, if you're claiming that there's white supremacy, it's because you are choosing yourself to feel inferior to the whites.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But I think again, like you can criticize a person for their actions, but I think when you're generalizing too broadly, it kind of negates the point, right?
Yeah, well, but the funny thing here is that it's not the whites claiming superiority to the blacks. It's the blacks saying actually that they are in an inferior position than the whites. It's not the Jews claiming control or claiming superiority. It's all the other people placing the Jews in a higher
special category.
Because when you are a victim, you don't need to take any responsibility and accountability for your action and for your basically misfortunate. You can always blame others. This is also the Palestinian narrative was always being the victim. So you want to be victims? Stay victims, guys. Like, I would go travel the world, have a good job, succeed in life. Well, you bring yourself a second Nakba and a third Nakba and a fourth Nakba because you rather be victims. And many in the West that are aligning with this radical, violent, free Palestine movement, it's because they are like, it's for the same reasons, like virtual signaling of, well, we are with the oppressed because we are so white and fortunate, so we need to be with the less fortunate. It's so stupid and it's so odd.
Keep being oppressed instead of doing something just keep crying.
But Daniel, let me ask you, because you are usually a very common member of the community, and you say what you think very loudly and proudly. So would you agree in certain instances? Again, it's just a broad example. I don't have any specifics. But when you are in a position where people literally want to kill you, which the neighbors do, right? Almost all countries around Israel, they don't want Israel to be there. Of course, you would have a heightened sensitivity to criticism or what could be perceived as an attack on the country.
No, I don't have any problem with criticism. Not only this, I will tell you even more.
Yeah.
There is no people that criticize Israel more than Israelis, okay?
No, I get you.
What I hear in the last 2 years is not criticism. No. When people chant death to the IDF, that's not criticism. That is the Israeli government.
Yeah.
Everything, none of this is criticism, okay? It's all either like lies, blood libel, or like genocidal chants. criticizing, we do it best because you know why? Because we want to be better. We don't want to say, we didn't make a mistake. No, we want to say there was a mistake. Let's understand why there was a mistake so it doesn't happen again.
What would be like repentance?
For example, rapes in the IDF, okay? If there's a rape in the IDF, okay, we would not cover it up. We, as Israelis, want to expose it. Why? So we make sure that this will not happen. Exactly. And this is a different mindset to them because for them, and I say them as a general board, they would never admit any wrongdoing, any mistake, anything, nothing. Because they think that if they don't say it, it doesn't happen. And you know, someone told me, like, look at how many rape cases are in Israel compared to, like, I don't know, Egypt or like Gaza. Yes, because they don't report it. Not because it doesn't exist. We actually report it in the media. With like in court, that you can go and make a complaint without being accused yourself. This is an open society that wants to be better, that wants to improve, that has accountability, transparency.
Sound like a bunch of punks. Push them around.
Like what? Punks?
Punks.
Wait, so Daniel, what about that guy you was bragging about? I just came in, but that guy was bragging about raping all those Palestinians. Where is he?
I don't know what grape is. You can say rape. We are not 6-year-old. And you know, dude, listen. The amount of shit that we hear from people, like constantly 24/7. So he kind of teased them and said, "I rape people." Like literally, like anyone should use their like little brains that they have and think that if someone rapes someone, would he go on TikTok and say, "Yeah, I raped like kids"? No, it's bullshit. It's teasing. It doesn't happen.
This guy, really? Oh my God.
Excuse me.
Are you okay? Did you just come? Did you hear rape and you came?
Wait.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
You just saying it's lying.
Are you okay? Are you okay? Are you first of all,
know that Musanda is is disabled. He's a retard.
Of course.
He's an African. That's why.
He's a disabled person because he's an African and he hates the Jews. So
we have ears. We have ears. We can hear that he's retarded. The fact that he. Shut up. We heard how he. Shut up for a second, idiot. Shut up. He asked me a question and we got an answer. Musanda, shut the fuck up. First of all, Isa, yes, we hear that he's a retard because he asked me a question and he got an answer which actually makes 100% sense. But for his mind, because I tell you what, most of this is projection. Their society is like, yeah, let's go rape people and let's make fun of it because it's okay because they know that nothing would happen to them. So, mister, in Israel, if you rape someone, you fucking go to jail. And if you fucking admit it, you fucking go to jail. So put it in your little Indian head and repeat it. This is Israel.
No,
I don't know what the fuck he is.
Is the guy in jail at least? That is what I'm saying. That's all I was asking.
Who should be in jail? Who is in jail? The guy that said something on TikTok? No.
Old man was look, obviously it's not okay, but I'm just saying.
It's not raping. There's no G in raping. You could say rape. Grape.
God, man, this is crazy.
It's not crazy. It's crazy with the grapes.
Yes.
Are you crazy? Are you alright?
Yeah, I hang out with Anderson, but you defending this thing, which is
Are you alright? I'm not defending you, fucking retard. Listen, retard, go fucking open a book. Try to, like, if you have a question, when you listen, try to, like, bring your, try to bring both your brain cells when you listen, okay?
Honey, you're
I'm like those retards. Like this fucking, I don't know what shithole it comes from. Where probably rape is like, hey, let's go rape some people. Because we know who's the rapist in the West, you know? So just stay in your shithole and don't come and rape people in the West. Beseder?
Fine, man.
I
I don't know. I would expect you to say it was wrong what he did. I expected you to say it almost and
You expected me to
What's going on with you? You're losing it.
because he's a retard.
Yes.
I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck what you cockroach expected. I don't care. I don't give a fuck what this cockroach wants and expects. You ask the question, you don't. The fact that you listen, cockroach, listen. Hold on. I want to say something to the cockroach. Listen, cockroach. If you ask the question, but you expect a specific answer, and when you don't give it, when you don't get it, you're left like a 3-year-old idiot, then, to be honest, why am I even engaging with you?
Daniel, read the chat.
I'm fine, man. I'm a cockroach, but I just said I expected you to say it was wrong what he did. I didn't expect you to be on defense mode. That's all I'm saying. I didn't expect that, you know.
Did someone grape you? This is why you are like trying to make it so. This is why you're trying to normalize. I'm trying to understand why do you try to normalize grapes? Because this is something that happens to you. This is something that happens in your family.
Arrest Harvey Weinstein prior to all those years. What?
Let's go back to the conversation. We had like an intelligent conversation. Try to keep up. Let's go. Okay, let's go back to the conversation because this cockroach is getting on my mind.
Guess what? He's almost best friends with Rambleson.
Where's Rambleson?
Rambleson.
I don't know.
Who is giving him no, don't give him a mod. Don't.
Oh no. Okay, we actually had like a normal conversation until this grape came.
No, it's fine. You don't have to give me mod, man. I wasn't fighting, my guy. I just want to know why didn't you attack Harvey Weinstein before? Why did it take all those people to expose him, and then that's when he got
You
it?
said
That's
Weinstein or Epstein?
What?
Now it's Harvey Weinstein, the Hollywood producer.
Israel attack the Hollywood rapist.
I don't give a fuck about him.
Epstein?
Let's talk about him. Let's talk about it. Hold on. What about Bill Cosby?
He should be like, yes, the
Yeah, but guys, none of them are African. They're African Americans, not African.
I didn't say. I don't give a fuck. I think that basically anyone that is a rapist, regardless of their skin tone, should go to jail. Harvey Weinstein, Didi,
But Daniel, what if he's a sexy rapist? What if he's super hot?
Then he would probably be raped himself in jail if he's so sexy. Would you like to know? It's like no. If he's sexy, then he would probably be a victim in jail, which is fine.
Yeah, makes sense.
Is it though?
What goes around comes around. The last person that I will have empathy for is a rapist.
Yeah.
And if shit happens. What can I do? You know, you don't want to be raped in jail. Don't rape.
What's the name of this guy? The Iranian. Have you guys seen any of the Iranians back in the app?
No.
No. It's just that they haven't had. Well, I understood that they were taking away their internet access, but I haven't.
For 3 days.
I haven't.
It was
like Camille, for example. Let me see, Camille, if it comes.
But the internet down was like for I think like almost 72 hours, not more than that.
Well, I don't know, but I haven't seen Camille and some of the other guys. And I'm wondering if they're okay. No, I don't care about Soren. Soren disappeared long before this. But Camille and A, they were in Tehran during the bombings. And I haven't seen them. And I'm just wondering, I hope that they're okay. They probably are okay, but
Interesting. We don't know. I know that I don't know. Anyone could be suspected as being, I don't know, a spy or whatever, especially if they're operating afterwards.
yeah, but these guys were good guys. I think they were very critic of IRGC.
Which in Iran? No.
Yeah.
Well, that is a dangerous thing to criticize the IRGC from Iran on social media. If you're not careful, I mean, with VPNs and whatnot.
Anyway, I was just wondering if you guys have seen the Iranian guys, because I haven't.
I mean, they could be afraid because they went into like the IRGC kind of after they understood how much the Mossad was infiltrated. I think they got very, very paranoid into like basically accusing anyone for anything. Could be. I have no idea who those guys are.
Oh yeah, I mean it's just an easy excuse to round up people and accuse them of shit.
Yeah, and most of the people would be okay with this. It's like every time those Palestinians kill someone, then they would say, it was an IDF. It doesn't matter if it's like a 3-year-old kid or a 9-year-old grandma. It was IDF, and it was okay. So that's fine.
Yeah, same thing.
Like today, for example, today 2 Palestinians murdered a guy outside of a supermarket, and they said he was an IDF soldier, and he wasn't. It was just like a security guard.
Where?
In Israel today, 2 Palestinians went into and stabbed the security guard, took his gun and shot him point blank. And they were and then there was a soldier nearby that heard the gunshot, and then they killed them. But no one condemns it. They would say for them and any Israeli or Jew is a legitimate target. Either it's IDF or they call us settlers.
Since it's a mandatory military service, they assume everyone is a fighter and everyone is on duty.
Yeah, but even if, listen, I saw a demonstration, I think, somewhere in the United States on 8th of October, and basically there was a guy there praising, there was a demonstration, they were praising Hamas and saying that all those people that were abducted or killed were all settlers and colonials and deserve to die, even the babies and the kids. So it's not really that it's about IDF. It's basically, let's be honest, it's okay to kill Jews. It doesn't matter what's the reason, if it's now it's occupation.
They're being taught, I mean, we've seen, I don't know, I don't remember because it was a long time ago, but the first time that you guys shared with me the documentary that speaks about the children being indoctrinated through the TV shows, which I found to be very, very impressive. I mean, that's what the TV shows is showing. It's they teach math to the children.
I'm talking about the West. Isa, I'm talking about the West.
Okay. Yeah.
This is happening in the United States with open fake. I will show you the clip of on 8th of October, few demonstrations in New York, and I think maybe it was Washington. People basically saying we are proud of Hamas, and all those people that were targeted were all settlers and deserve to die just because they are Jews, basically.
It wasn't white people, right? It was probably Muslim.
No,
actually, black people.
Blacks?
I can give you his name even. I have his name. And there's also no, it doesn't. No, it's not a Muslim name. Richard or
what dogger does he have in the fight? I don't get it.
Hate and ignorance. Listen, people are being I see people that they ask them, for example, where do gays have rights? And they say, no, in Israel they will start, they should go to Palestine, they will have rights. Yeah. People are so stupid, and they say I didn't know about Israel, all I heard about Israel was only bad things.
Right.
And we're talking about people that are 26 years old. Those are it's really a lost generation that they are so misinformed in this day and age. It's really sad.
Well, yeah. Oh, Daniel, think about, yes, I think it's sad, but think about Israel in the last 30 years versus think about Israel in the last 30 years versus Israel of the previous 30 years. From that, right? There's what people are consuming, just what the news is about Israel is very different, right? Post 67 to Oslo, totally different story than.
You gonna move anything?
Right, just
the thing
a
that
different
changed.
story, right? I see it in the kids I teach, right? Even kids who go to
the thing. What changed in the last 30 years? It was the internet, not anything else.
Well, yeah. I think it's all. I think you can put it on all kinds of things, right? I was gonna say, somebody said we're in the information. I think you said it before. We're in the information age.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think we're in the attention age. You should read.
No, I mean,
Ezra Klein wrote a whole book about the attention economy, and that's all we have now. We don't have the information age should have led to better education, but it didn't. It led to us being monopolized for our.
Tell me the author's name again, please. It sounds very interesting.
Ezra Klein.
Okay, thank you. That's a great point. It's like, yeah, it's not
New York Times podcast.
Well, and this is, by the way, I'll tell you guys. I asked the other day. Israel wasn't the topic at the moment, so nobody bit when I asked. But my question is, I've seen you guys engage in debates on Clubhouse. My question is, do you engage in debates about Israel on other social media platforms? And the reason I ask is because I want to tell you, I make a lot of videos, not a lot, but I make videos on TikTok, and I'll make these videos that I think are like so reasonable, like 4 minutes. I'm making very reasonable points, very, very good argument, and then I'm not exaggerating, every single comment is a detractor, is negative, is insulting, is hateful. And so when you talk about the attention age, it's almost like it's like Idiocracy, Caleb. Did you see that, Caleb? Idiocracy?
Yeah, I saw it.
That's a great movie.
Look, Lisa, look in the chat. I put the link in the chat about this demonstration on the 8th of October. It's mine.
There was a genocide on the 8th of October, didn't you know that?
A lot of people celebrating.
Well, that happened too.
No, not celebrating, glorifying Hamas and the slaughter of Jews and the...
I remember that, Daniel, I remember that when it happened. I remember it on October 8th watching that video. But my point,
putting it together so we remember.
It's nice, Caleb, to hear, and it's helping me understand, because it's almost like I feel like it's a waste of time to make my pro-Israel videos and to do my pro-Israel posts and to waste time with you fucking assholes. Excuse me, I'm just joking, but it actually doesn't seem like it is necessary.
You say asshole like it's a bad thing.
Right. But
only you got it.
No, I got it. I laughed.
I laughed.
Okay.
Very funny.
You're all gay, you're laughing.
Very gay. Gay. No, but maybe then, Caleb, it's not a waste of time to do the Hasbara and to do the social media activism, because if we're fighting a war for attention, then basically the only reason we're losing is because more people have seen more TikTok videos of Palestinian,
And Zach, it's always going to be that way. It's always going to be that way, because even if you collect together all of the Jewish advocates or Israel advocates or whatever, you're still not going to compete with the just bloody mass.
Right, there's millions.
Of people
it's like this,
out there. It's just the numbers will not equal.
It's like this guy that asked me before about the grapes, okay? And when he got an answer, he started laughing, okay? Because he's already like his mind is set. He's already brainwashed. So there's no. We don't need to justify anything, and I don't think we need to be in a position of justifying. This anti-Semitism is not a problem of Jews; it's a problem of society. Yes, we are the ones that are suffering, but it's not ours to.
I read a great piece the other day that actually said, and there's sort of a critique of the left, of the Jewish left, that they bought into the anti-Semitic propaganda that a lot of Western Jews with modernity bought into. Right? It's not that something we did. Somebody created this for us, and we bought it. It was a very interesting piece. See if I can find it and share it with you guys.
it's disturbing how many conversations, I mean, there's different levels of people that you think you know, but I have had several conversations with people in the real world who I have known for years, who all of a sudden are saying, I mean, you guys were saying this 25 minutes ago when I was in the gym, but like Daniel said the word bloodthirsty just when I wanted to say the word bloodthirsty because, and they say, I'm not against Jews, I'm against Zionists, but didn't the Jews do the Bolshevik Revolution in Russia? And it's like, oh, so it's literally identical to Hitler's argument. Like you just coincidentally happen to agree, point for point, with the man.
He makes some good points.
I don't know, it's just like, damn, I didn't know that it was that deep.
There, I found that piece. You can put it's in the chat. It's really, really good.
Well, that's why, anti-Semitism doesn't actually ever go away. And it has to do with, propaganda and information and misinformation. Information is always subject to misinformation. That's, what makes it information. The delineation between it and the stuff we don't want to focus on. Which means that whenever someone is motivated, there's always material that was previously classified as information available for them involving the destruction and villainy of the Jews. How could you ever prevent that from happening without, a massive destruction of all cultural record, which no one is ever in favor of? No, there will always be new bouts of anti-Semitism. And yes, this was already addressed 150 years ago by Herzl, when he saw what happened to Dreyfus. And guess what happened? We made a state to solve that problem.
Well, it didn't solve the hate problem.
Yeah, we never.
It might solve.
That's the thing. It was never under the conception that the state of Israel would prevent the rest of the world from still thinking that we were pieces of shit. We anticipate that that's going to continue to happen over and over and over again with more elaborate arguments that are just rehashed versions of the same. We know that's going to happen. The point of the separate state is because then we always have someplace to go where we have sovereignty and we know that we disagree with you all together because you're all psychopaths.
What if we had a thing, Daniel? What if we had graffiti that was here's how crazy radicalized that become. Kahana was right and Leibovich was right. What if they were both right?
Both, yes. I was just like.
I don't know his move.
Do you know Leibovich?
No.
Leibovich was a philosopher in the mid 20th century who argued that now that Jews have a state, the risk is becoming, corrupt and authoritarian, and he wasn't an anti-Zionist, but he was very critical of the newfound power that Jews had and what that would do to our internal.
Yeshayahu Leibovitz?
Yeshayahu Leibovitz.
So you're saying that he had sort of a post state established policy of self-restriction of power or utilization of power, that kind of a thing?
Yeah, he said the Israeli state is going to end up oppressing Palestinians. It's going to happen.
Right.
And he wasn't an anti-Zionist in that way. He was just trying to
they're an animalistic race of barbarians who want or are hell-bent on our destruction. Both can be true.
So that's what I'm saying. There's an ironic place. There's an ironic place that I'm at these days, which is Kahana was right. And
that's the challenge, by the way.
Shut up. He didn't unpack Leibovich's position. So what did Leibovich think that Israel should do? Just acknowledge that we're going to oppress the Palestinians and thus not?
Just what he unpacked it.
Be a regular sort of Western democracy.
That is still being called
sort of
metal monsters.
Well, agree. Isn't it ironic because Kahana and Leibovich are opposed, right?
Yeah, so that doesn't what you're saying doesn't work. We try. What you're saying is Leibovich was right, even though his strategy has clearly brought us to exactly the thing he was trying to prevent occurring. So thus he proves himself wrong.
What I'm hearing.
And instead, Kahana, who was never actually tried.
Right. Well, yeah, he was murdered.
Which is why many people continue to say Kahana was right because no one ever actually tried it.
Well, but what I'm hearing is
right. So what Leibovitz said was the following, right? Right? He argued against occupation, right? He argued against. He was a religious person and he was a rabbi, but he argued against.
One second, you're saying he wanted to withdraw from the West Bank and Gaza territories?
Yeah, post 67, he argued
wanted to go back to the 48 borders where they could fire a bullet across the state of Israel?
Yes, because he argued that continued control over those territories would lead to a moral degradation of the Israeli society.
That's a fair argument.
Which in some ways, he was right.
Oh, he's totally right. No. Jordan and Egypt abandoned those territories as a poison pill for Israel. And, I'm aware of it. Israel swallowed it. I would have opposed it for different, more religious reasons, but
he was totally an anti-messianist, right? He wasn't a messianist. He really argued for the very strict separation of church and state. That the more that religion gets entrenched in Israel, that's going to be bad for Israelis, and bad for Arabs.
The democracy.
Right? All of these things, and it turned out he was right about a lot of that stuff. And Kahana was also right to the extent of the way that he described Arab mindset and Arab culture, right? Not that I'm generalizing too much in this way, right? But there is something built in. There is something built in there about Jews.
Yeah.
Leibovitz was right. Kahana was right.
They both had excellent points to offer, as usual.
Well, what I'm hearing, tell me if this is an oversimplification, but what I'm hearing is evil exists, and so does Yetzer Hara. They both exist.
I'm not sure about evil, but the Yetzer Hara definitely exists.
Well, I just mean evil exists.
But extend Yetzer Hara to the Gentiles.
No, I just mean the evil exists in others, and the will to do evil, the impulse to accidentally slide into evil through lack of vigilance exists in our own selves as well. So Kahana was right. They're a bunch of fucking animals. Leibovitz was right. We got to be careful with the iron fist.
No, but
you guys needed a rabbi to say if the Muslims are animals?
I'd still say that, militaristically, right, under the simple geography, it doesn't make sense to give back those territories. Not completely. You'd have to occupy them at least militaristically. You could, if you want, pull all the Israelis out. But then again, if you have a free, independent society, how do you stop the settlers from wandering into the no man's land that the Israeli army
that's the whole thing.
Can't be in because it's too dangerous for the Israeli government, right?
Yeah, but Michael, that was the whole post 67 discussion, right? And ultimately what was decided to do was to do nothing, decide not to decide. I think had there been a
Khalid.
So hold on. Let me just finish that. Hold on. Let me just finish that real quick. 10 seconds. Had Israel annexed it fully, we'd be definitely living in a different reality.
Yeah.
And had they given it back all the way, they would have been living in a different reality. The fault was not deciding.
If they had given it back, they would have been subject to wars they weren't ready for.
Maybe, but then it would have been a war. But then it would have been a war and not an occupation, right?
But it kind of gave Gaza, and you see what happened in Gaza. It became like a terror bomb.
Yeah, but we're talking in the context of 1967 politics, and there is no Palestinians, there's no terrorists in that way. There are Arab armies, there are countries, right? That's who we're fighting against in 67. We're not fighting terrorists per se.
That's the point I wanted to underline. The military justification for maintaining, at the very, very least, even if you wanted to forcibly remove every Jew within the West Bank and Gaza, maintaining military control, even doing that, in a democracy, right? The inertia you're talking about when that has to be done, and it's a good question whether or not to occupy it or push people out. Inertia is the natural consequence of a Republican democracy. That's what it leans on. It leans on the time and
Right, except I don't think that was the consideration post 67 if we withdraw that the Jordanians will just attack us again?
Yes, yes. Don't you understand? They wrote articles like they proved it, like up at the top, that really thin, stupid little point. You literally could fucking fire a bullet through the state. That's so stupid. That makes no. And you have people on those borders that want to blow up the state. Are you insane? You cannot leave that subject to Jordanian and Egyptian control, and they did attack.
See, it's interesting because for a long time, I've said like, I don't minimize the security concerns; those are real. But why not just defend the border? Right? Sit on the border.
Colin, that's what I'm saying. That's what they did. They did just want to defend the border. They said there's no fucking way that the border is going to stay here. And the inertia of it.
Right, but that's not defending the border. That's changing. That's changing the border.
Wherever they fucking wanted because they had military support.
Yeah, but that's changing the border. That's not defending.
Yes, that wasn't decided by the government. That was something the government had to react to because they had citizens that were free enough to do it. And they don't give a shit about the government. They want to occupy the hills of the Holy Land. And the government is good enough to protect them. Why?
Right, well, that's why.
Goddamn hill.
Right, well, that's why those people are not Zionists. They don't care about the government. They don't care about the statecraft of the state of Israel.
They care about defending that hill.
I understand. That's what makes them not Zionists. Zionists care about the state and the democracy. These people don't. Like, I don't think Ben Gvir and Smotrich were Zionists. Certainly not.
But you're missing a point. It's unavoidable. The people that choose to go out there grows. Their population and numbers grow. The people that are interested in their way of thinking grows. And their political power in a liberal Republican democracy grows.
Right. I guess what I'm suggesting is, had the settlement had Jewish communities in Judea and the West Bank not been created, right? You could have had like a benevolent occupation and the decision to not decide about what to do, fully annex or give it back. Yeah, I think you could have had a benevolent occupation.
It's bullshit.
Yeah, I'm
A benevolent occupation of uniformed IDF soldiers controlling a bunch of stateless Palestinians. That would have been
it wouldn't be it wouldn't have been a military occupation. It would have been administrative.
What you had before 2005?
Yeah, I think there is a thing as a benevolent occupation. Right? I think there is a occupation.
I don't think
I think you can take care of the people you rule over.
If anything, just seize the territory and administer it, but you cannot call it an occupation because that just implies that you are
Don't get caught up.
with the responsibility of it and you're just being there.
Don't get caught up with that word, right? It's a technical word. It means that it's a technical word. It's not that's all. Right? I'm not implying anything about to whom the land belongs or whatever. I'm not implying anything. Right? But it's an accurate description. Right? All I'm saying is that there could have been an administration of the West Bank that didn't right, because there's been a progression from 67 to now. You have the rise of nationalism and terrorism. You have the increasing resettlement apparatus. You have the building of the wall. You have the private. You can't just reset the tape, right? But I'm just speculating, right? How do you feel about that, right? And those that say don't annex, but we get it back, right? Which is what happened. Why did it have to be a brutal military operation in the end? It could have been set up. What do you mean brutal occupation? The material lives of Palestinians living in the West Bank are controlled by the Israeli military. What do you mean? No. Yeah. First they were there. And again, why brutal? Well, let me say it better, okay? I don't think it had to be looked this way. I think it could have looked better.
It was always going to look where your enemy wanted to paint it.
I think it could have looked better. I think it could have looked. I trust the Israeli military so much that I think they can maintain security on the checklist.
No, you cannot do it.
Sure.
What?
What happened today? The guy got killed in the Robbie Levy?
Not killed, murdered.
Fine. Alright, I got that.
I mean, no one wants to be a second.
What is it?
No, he's ready to start.
You have to leave.
No, he's ready to start.
Tell him you're in the middle of a conversation, but it's very confusing. How do I know you're telling us the truth and you just not are looking to run away?
I'm not. You know I don't run away from these conversations.
Give us the doctor's name. I'll call the secretary. Right now.
The doctor's rescheduled. That's fine. Okay, I'll be back.
Right, I hope everything is okay. And the constipation loosens soon.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Edmund!
Call me Jacob.
Wait.
It's like an English.
God,
I know.
You honor us with your presence from all the rooms that you're streaming. You're choosing to hang out with us.
Streaming? I don't stream anything.
What makes us
Not you, Edmund.
to Edmund?
Oh, I think you did.
What makes us so interesting?
We moved on.
Oh my God, no one's here. Oh, Leslie. Masri. Oh, he's there, Masri.
Come on up.
Like multiple years. Oh, guys, it was good to see you. Hello, hello. Jacob, and Lisa. It's good to see you.
Just hold on a second. Just Edmund. Oh my God, everybody. Just Edmund was in the middle of a sentence. What were you saying?
He was saying everything we say is meaningless and we've said it all before.
No, what I'm saying is, I think it's like, it's a real problem why we're even having this conversation. So, if you finally recognize that this is like a holding cell for insane people who just like to repeat themselves every single fucking day, you know, as a recorder, it gives me a lot more peace actually not being involved in these conversations and just listening. So, I want to thank you all for doing the heavy lifting. Thank you.
You're very welcome, Edmund, and thank you for honoring us with your presence. Because from all the rooms that you're streaming, you chose to spend time with us.
We're only one family. Correct. Supposedly your presence allowed that. Can't be violent.
In your life, if you want more wealth, more happiness, more love, I encourage you all to find more puissant.
Thank you. And also, see who is... Oh, she left. Oh, she's there. Daniel, our favorite mailbox, is here.
Did you call me a mailbox?
No, not you.
Not you.
Well, Jacob, I'm not really following the news because I just follow the headlines
but no details because I have been in so many troubles at work and house. So just personal things, but once I pass them, I will follow.
You caused trouble at work. I thought you were the solution for that.
Well, I'm a troublemaker after all, you know.
Inside of you.
Thank you, Erica. I miss talking to you, you know that.
Yeah, I know your family's good.
Yeah, everything is fine. What about yours?
Yeah, you know.
No, don't make the conversation gay.
No, it's not.
No,
Wait. Why are you coming in and leaving and coming in and leaving? What's wrong with
Like
you?
a gay man.
Why are you coming in and leaving and coming in and leaving? What's wrong?
You know what comes in and goes out all the time?
Gay man.
Penis.
A Muslim in Google.
Yeah, Daniel, no,
Can you speak? What the hell?
a mouth. It's just eye slots so they can see, but they can't talk. Are you allowed to talk in those things?
Yeah, she might be in the presence of.
Enjoy my food.
Oh, you're fine.
Take off the top, like
Fine with this thing.
I'm actually in because Chris is popping it off.
It's a feeding tube, guys. She's using my phone. I thought you were in the presence of men, and that's the reason why you weren't able to speak. Does everyone here identify as a man or a woman?
Well, right now identify as a woman for the purposes of using it. So, Chris, yeah, I know things.
Why would I identify as a woman?
Well, you're halfway there.
Danny, I love your headscarf. It's so cute.
Daniel, I believe that women's clothing is often cheaper, so.
Cheaper?
Well, okay, you're things cheaper. Is that what you're saying? Makes sense.
Women's clothes are cheaper?
And a lot more expensive per square inch.
What? We are not cheaper. You guys are cheaper.
No way.
You guys are cheap clothes.
I mean, I can go with the same jeans for a month.
Women clothes is cheaper, are cheaper than men.
Yeah, so women's turnover in styles is every year there's a new style. But men's,
Twice a year, there's
well, hold on, but for men and women, but when it comes to the turnover on styles, men's is more constant. You don't have to replace men's clothes as much to keep up with the
not you, bitch.
Almost
Not you.
a
Not you. I said civilized world.
Hamas?
Is it like
Hamas is here. Hamas.
Hamas or Hamas? Which one? Hamas or Hamas?
I included this.
I realize though that in America, all day, every day, who are shitting on ICE agents, and these people are patriots and heroes. So we don't even get to have your sentiment in America. That is verboten.
American accent.
Oh my God! I got this Nazi language.
It's verboten.
Verboten? Ja. I'm particularly sensitive to that kind of language.
Yeah.
Verboten? Verboten.
I was sensitive, but not anymore.
It changed at a certain period of time.
You know, I came from a house that we basically never had any German products. We never bought like any German products.
My parents did the same thing.
For trauma?
Yes. Yeah. Trauma, yeah.
You converted it.
Yes, it was a boycott. In a way, boycott.
And now
It's
you
like a
don't
personal boycott. Not that I love it, but we made it
It was very common.
Yeah, it would be a very miserable life having to stay angry at something like this that you cannot control.
It wasn't anger. It wasn't anger. It was about not seeing it in your face, basically. Yeah. It was like traumatic, like, you know.
I get it, but ultimately, this is the thing. And this is what I think I still admire about the Jews, even if, these things happen, right? Which is like, okay, we cannot do anything about the past. We are going to take responsibility of our future, and we're going to handle it in the present, you know? And so,
at the end of the day, I came from a house that gets boycotted German products and stuff like this. But at the end, you know, I married a German, and he met my grandmother, and my husband looks like completely Aryan, like blonde and white. Like, you know,
What was the reaction?
she went the first time that they met. She said it like a glitch in her mouth, like the first time that she saw him. But then they became like, you know, for her it was like, and she told me it was kind of like a closure in a way, you know, and it was like even a victory or even like some kind of a win. That at the end of the day, like this has happened.
My grandparents looked at it a different way. Let me try to explain it. Which was, in a world of choices, you don't need to choose the one that's in your face that directly affects your family. They went through this shit. So they were, you know, when it came down to choosing to buy a Mercedes-Benz or another luxury car, they chose the other luxury car. They just didn't want to see it in their face. It wasn't because, oh, we're going to hold the kids and grandchildren of the Nazis accountable for what their parents and grandparents did. It was, no, we don't need these symbols in our face.
It's like a white thing. Don't go and you like advocate for it, or you like it's like something you just don't do. You talk like, you know, you wouldn't even notice this if you didn't know that this is happening.
Although it was really strange going to Israel in the 70s and 80s. Every single taxi cab was a Mercedes-Benz.
yeah, but all of that is fine, but you're allowing external circumstances to drive your thinking. It's like if I yeah, but again, like if I would, I mean, it's just easier to just embrace it, make peace with it, and just move on. Like I get.
Well, it's easy for you to say, I guess, but if you would be a Holocaust survivor, that everything German would be like, you know, you don't want to live your life with this like post-trauma, and if you don't need to have IG, and you can have like, I don't know, something else, Philips, I don't know, whatever. Maybe Philips is not German, I don't know.
No,
then you would just go. Okay, so you would go with something that doesn't trigger you. It's like it's trauma. It's not revenge. It's not hate. It's trauma.
I get it, Daniel. But you know what? I mean, like I know it's not the same type of how do you say level, right? But yeah, I left my country because my life was major, right? And something happened to me. I'm not gonna speak about it right now because
means anything. It's like it's part of like this trauma of having no food.
Gets wired like
Yes, exactly. It's trauma.
Yeah,
it's trauma.
It's like your CPSD.
Yes, exactly.
No, and I get it, Jacob. I mean, you're right. It gets diluted for generations, right? I mean, it's not the same that there are the actual Holocaust survivors who actually experienced it. That for them it's disgusting. They just cannot even process it.
They listen to their parents' stories, you know, and that.
Yeah, the second generation was also very much affected with it.
Yeah,
it's not just the
there's actually people who are getting payments for survivors who are second generation because of the psychological burden that they have.
Yeah, but it's not that far away. I mean, it happened less than 100 years ago.
Yes, I mean, we heard stories from people that actually experienced it. Like they would bring like the Holocaust survivors to our school on Holocaust Day, and they would sit and they would tell us like their own personal stories, and they were alive, and they could like, you know, now with time they are less and less, but you could hear it like first-hand accounts, and it was like the Nazi regime didn't exist anymore. Hold on. What? It wasn't about like being like spreading like propaganda against the Nazi regime, because it didn't exist. It was just about like remembering and knowing what happened and like sharing those stories. What did you say, Walter?
Oh, I was asking, sorry, I might be one. Seriously, is it like, you know, so it's suggested, is it like a disability sort of in a sense payment, or like a reparations type of?
No, it was a reparation kind of thing.
Yeah. So is everybody then?
The second generations.
Like, is everybody paying for it, I'm assuming then?
Yes.
Yeah, to the tune of like $80 billion, I think it was. The last count, or 82 or some number. Some huge number.
It's not that huge. You buy like a...
Yeah. But I mean, in total, it's still a lot of dollars.
It's a lot of money.
And the reality is, it will never be enough. So it's... You can't buy anything with that.
And don't think about it, it's not like, it's not just reparation, because I mean, they also lost everything that they had. I think my grandmother came to Israel, through Lebanon, and she had to like, never mind like the whole story of how she came, but you know, she came with nothing, like nothing. And they had like stuff, and also my father's family had like fur factories, like they were very rich, they had like servants and like whatever. They came with nothing. So the money that they get as reparation is like it's nothing compared to what they lost. Nothing.
Did they ever try to get the physical property back or not?
Yes, we had a building, and me and my sister, we got like, now, like, I think like 5 years ago, we got some money for this building, but again, it's not even enough to buy like
people actually get the building back, like, forget
No, because other people live there now, you don't get the building, you get like they have like this pointing system that they give you some, it's not the real value.
I read from time to time.
Yeah, you know the key.
I read from time to time.
This is Germany. We don't need the key. We have the address.
Give it back to the heirs. I was wondering if anyone actually got the property back, and now the rent payments come to them. Some other person.
I don't know, to be honest. I don't think so.
Or like a company.
Maybe if it's like a building that is not like sold to someone else, like a government building or like stuff like this, maybe. But I don't know.
We need a better topic. I got a topic. What do you think of analog systems? I don't think they exist.
Are they the same size?
No, you're thinking of her when she was 8 years old.
No, I'm not.
My boobs are not the same size.
Is she a member of the Itty Bitty Titty Committee?
I'm just bringing this topic to the committee, just wondering.
My boobs are the same size.
Nothing is the same size.
You know, my right boob is bigger than my left.
BTR approved. He's not making the testicle.
This is what
they told you, yeah.
Oh, to
Because someone was saying, oh, like, hold on, when you say looked into it,